Welcome to the Story Warrior podcast. On this platform, we believe that every founder, creator, and changemaker possesses a story that is good enough to convert a stranger into a prospect into a customer, and a customer into a lifelong advocate.
Story warrior, we rise and we lead from the motherland slain. Stories of power, remember the name. Business warrior, voices that shine, African spirit in every line. Lead, inspire, tell your story. Legacy in motion, this is our glory. Story warriors at your word.
My name is Gideon Fomukwai, and I'm delighted that today we are meeting someone who has made a big move. When I say big move, this is the kind of move that you want to pull your chair closer to ask, how did you stage that? We're talking about a gentleman here in the studio, Dr. Otavis Samba. He made a big jump from medicine to technology. And in this episode, we want to find out, why would you skip from medicine to technology? We know technology is changing everything about the world. But first, let me say this. As a story warrior, I consider myself a product of Africa, produced in Asia, packaged in America, and distributed worldwide. So Dr. Samba, welcome to the Story Warrior platform. It looks like you're also a product of Africa, and should I say, produced in North America? Okay, you take it away. If this was a movie about you, what would you say? You're a product of where, produced where, and consumed by who?
Thank you very much, Dr. Gideon. I'm super excited to be here in the studio today with you. And I would say Dr. Samba Otavis is a product of Africa. I was built in Cameroon, now deployed to North America, and I'm designed to serve on the global stage. So that's a bit about me.
Fantastic. Designed and built in Africa, deployed to North America, serving the entire world. So, Dr. Samba, please, if someone from Hollywood came to you and said, we want to write a movie about you, what would be the opening scene?
So the opening scene about me would be this guy at a crossroads in the heart of COVID-19, who is faced with lots of challenges. The first challenge, he lost his father. The second challenge, government stopped recruiting doctors in his home country. The third challenge, his mom lost a job and the family is internally displaced because of the ongoing crisis in the heart of COVID-19. And then at the same time, this gentleman is engaged to his dear fiancée and he's looking at life. What would life look like in the future? And then he's forced either to go into depression or to take a bold step, to go out there and fight for his life. And he decides to take that bold step, not to be, not to be put back by the present circumstances in his home country, but he decides to fight and leverage what technology has to offer for the future. And he says, in the heart of this COVID-19, I'm going to dare and go out there and learn the technology and then see how I can improve my life and those around me. And so that's what the opening scene will look like for me. Wow. Because that's the heart of COVID-19, where I left medical school and the government stopped recruiting doctors. And I decided that I would not want to just go the normal path. I would want to carve out my own path and make a difference in the world. That's how it's going to look like.
That movie, I want to watch that movie. How much are you charging per ticket? I want to be the first person to get my ticket for my family. Because let's be honest, in the midst of a pandemic, which is already destabilizing enough, you're standing at a crossroads, leaving medical school, no guarantee of a job. And anyone could become a coward. Like, I've spent 7 years. I need something to take care of my family. You lose your dad. Your mom gets retrenched. And then your fiancé is looking at you like, what? Didn't you say you're going to be a doctor? What's happening? How are we going to pay the bills? How are we going to get married? That is crazy, wild, wild west. And so you decided to embrace technology. Take us to the scene. What kind of technology? And what did you use that technology to do? Did it pay the bills?
Great question. So right even before getting to technology, it's worth noting that while in medical school, I was so gifted when it comes to surgery as a general physician. So while in school and a few years after I left school, I was able to perform more than 400 to 500 surgeries, 100% successful, because I already had that aptitude. And the goal for me at the end of the day was to become a surgeon or a gynecologist. But when I lost my dad, the perspective changed because I never really had that great support to push me through with that dream. And so the technology that I embraced the heart of COVID-19 was around cloud technology. I had a relative in the US who told me about Amazon Web Services and DevOps. And so I caught interest in that. But also what sparked that curiosity and pushed me again deeper into it was when I had a trip to Kigali, Rwanda, and I met a robot at the airport. Kigali was already using medical robots to serve patients. And I was like, oh, we don't have this back home. So how can I, immerse myself into these technologies and make a difference? So when I returned to Cameroon, I then decided to take up the challenge to learn cloud computing and DevOps. And the first day in class, my tutor asked me, hey, why are you doing this? You're a doctor. I said, no, I'm not just here to come get a job in technology, but I want to learn how I can use this information to set up a system that can provide jobs to people in Africa. And I had mates who were laughing at me. Hey, you're in Africa, you don't have remote jobs. What makes you think that you can do this? And that's how I pushed myself into learning the technology. And then I started up a company where today we've been able to train thousands of people across the world, and even outsourcing talents from Africa to companies in the US and beyond. So that's the technology that I delve into, and today leveraging that, even here in North America.
That is incredible. So your bold move to embrace technology, particularly Amazon Web Services, which at the time was beginning to explode and grow, and I would presume that it was not yet very popular in French-speaking part of Africa, in Cameroon. So you embraced that. Did you apply your knowledge or your newfound skills in Amazon Web Services into medical services where you were already a doctor? Or did you say, I'm starting at a crossroads, whoever needs it can use it? Who are your primary clients starting out?
Great question. So when I started out in technology, the goal for me was to understand the fundamentals of the technology. So I was not in a rush to maybe just get a job around that, but I wanted to really understand the fundamentals. When I got the fundamentals, and then I got a job, I was working remotely from Cameroon. And then the next big thing for me was, how can I get into digital health? And that's where the work I was doing and pushing online, the Africa Center for Disease Control caught interest and invited me to Kigali, Rwanda, where we created the first ever Africa Center for Disease Control Youth in Digital Health Network, where we tried to educate, because I'm very big on education. I really focus so much around educating young people to embrace technology in healthcare. So my primary target has always been young people this far. But beyond that, today we are using this technology to build digital health solutions. So we develop web and mobile applications in the health tech space. That's what we're doing today, and other industries. So that's how I was able to leverage that technology knowledge acquired now into building solutions and then educating our teams and communities around. Yeah.
That is interesting. Very, very interesting. Now, were you still keeping your job as a medical doctor, or were you completely moving away from medicine, even though you had a successful track record, a growing track record? And I'm sure you had ambitions to become even more proficient. So my question is, did you walk away from medical practice completely, or did you operate moonlight as a technology emerging expert? Which? Was there a lot of competition between your medical practice and your technology exploits?
Yeah, so I had to strike a balance between the two, but at the start was very, very demanding. It really required a lot of time, effort. So I had 4 jobs as a physician. I was working in 4 clinics, actually.
4 clinics?
I used to operate in 4 clinics in Bafoussam, in Cameroon, Bafang, Bafia, and Fumbot. So these are some 4 areas in Cameroon.
And still doing your new pursuit of technology, Amazon Web Services, AWS.
Exactly. But at some point, when I got into the heart of it, I had to put a pause. So I put a pause on all of that practice, but so I could focus my energy 100% here, and then when I was good, then I came back in. But the
Okay,
goal,
you mean you had to put a pause on medicine or put a
yes,
pause on technology?
I had to put a pause on the medical practice.
On medical practice because the technology was
Pretty
looking
much.
more fruitful and could pay more bills than medical practice, I presume, in Cameroon.
Yeah, but that was the long term. So there was a
Okay.
need for a short term sacrifice. It
Okay.
wouldn't. It wasn't like productive at the start, but I was looking at myself. I always look at the long term benefit
Yeah,
and what short term sacrifice do I need to make
to get there.
for that long term benefit.
Yes, sir.
And at that start, it was even quite tough. Up to a point where I even had to sell my car. I sold my car to get into technology.
Wow.
Uh,
What did
so
your wife make of that?
it was tough. I sold off the car. I wasn't working, and then she was the only one working to take care of the bills. So, but we told ourselves that, what would it look like in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years? What sacrifice can we make, for a long-term benefit? So, and then now moving here to North America, I'm back now into the process of getting my licensing so that I can go deeper now into digital health on ground.
So you want to get your medical doctor license to practice in North America. But before we get there, sir, I want you to take us to that defining moment when you realize, man, I'm going to sell my car so that I can make these sacrifices to understand the technology well enough that we can apply it to medicine. Because some people may see you making strides. They don't know those sacrifices that you've made. Was that a defining moment selling your car? I would presume it was. If that was, tell us what was going through your mind, your understanding, your fears, your exasperations, your aspirations as well. And how did you talk your wife through that? If that was the lowest moment, talk to us about that. If that wasn't, take us to that moment when you felt like this is going so low, and yet I'm not gonna give up.
Great question there. Thank you very much for that. So, this takes me memory lane to that exact instance where we had to make the ultimate sacrifice, whether
Yes, sir.
to take on this offer or not take on it. So at that point, we had many training schools that were proposed to us, and one thing I've always been big on is community. I've always looked for a mentor, and so I was presented to this company based in the US where I had to get my training at the cost of $2,500. And so there were other training institutes that could offer a cheaper fee, but I looked at the community that this particular institution had, and I looked at who is heading the institution that could be a mentor to me. And we decided, my wife and I, we agreed that I should get registered in this particular institution because I will get access to a huge network that I can grow through, not just learn the technology. And because I looked at technology, coming into that, I could go the self-study route. I could say, okay, I'll just go on YouTube. I could, go on Udemy, maybe download content, but I didn't want to do that because while as a physician trained, I could go source information myself, but I didn't want to go that route. I wanted to go and study in a community and grow with them. But also $2,500 paying from Africa, from Cameroon, for a 6 months course that could go to a year isn't easy. And so we looked at ourselves like, how do we raise this money? And then, mind you, we had our son was about 6 months old, pretty young, our first child. By the grace of God, we have 2 kids now. So looking at all of that, no full-time, maybe sustainable salary from a job, and then we have a newborn, and then what assets do we have that we could liquidate, to be able to invest in ourselves? And so the most valuable asset that we had at the time, it could be the car that we could say, okay, let's put it out there. Yeah, let's give it away, because we could be able, because if we invest in ourselves, we will be able to get many more cars down the line. And so
all right, that's what I call a vuvuzela moment.
Right.
Whenever a guest scores a big point, giving up your car with your son who is 6 months old and going into a program that you felt strategically that by getting in a program that has a community around it, you will be able to use that to grow long term. That's when I need to give this. All right, I don't want to blast off. I don't want the internet to slow down today. So I'm just going to let that vuvuzela settle by the side. But I hear you, Dr. Samba, and I am very moved by what you're saying. that you made that kind of sacrifice, what was the outcome of that? What did it yield to you and your family in terms of your understanding, your knowledge, your mastery of AWS? What did that bring to you as a medical doctor operating in Cameroon?
Great question. So while in class, I began to volunteer. I began to serve my colleagues who were based out of Africa. They were in like 5 different time zones. And so my classes used to run, say, from 12 a.m. West African time to around 3, 4 a.m. Sometimes I would stay up 5, 6, just serving my mates. And while doing that, they identify the gifts and talents in me, because I have this gift and talent of training people. And so once I began to do that, now they found interest in what I was doing. And they told me, do you know you could turn this into a profit? Do you know you could start up a company? And then I felt a strong urge, and I got to one of my teachers. I told him, I said, God is telling me to start up a company, but I'm not too sure, because probably I've not gotten a job yet in this space. He said, every time you pick up the mic to speak in class, I can feel it, that this is a calling for you. Don't wait to get ready before you start. You have all it takes to get started. And that's how the company immediately began to train. Just the idea was to connect talents to opportunity. And that's how Solavis Tech was born. Solavis means Solange and Otavis, a combination of my wife's name and my name, to start up the company. And then, so what did he do for us? Through Solavis Tech, we've been able to impact more than 5,000 people globally. We've brought in speakers from Amazon, from Amazon Web Service itself. We've brought in speakers from America, Canada, and all over, just to inspire people in our communities. Right now we're training people in cloud computing and DevOps, data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, AI-powered digital marketing, software development. We're building web and mobile applications. We're outsourcing talent from Africa to work for remote global companies. And then through this, I've been able to serve on Amazon Web Services community builder for 3 years straight as a community, as an AWS community builder, Amazon Web Services community builder. And through that, I've been able to speak at the first ever AWS community builders event in Cameroon. I was invited by Amazon Web Services as a speaker for that event. And through that as well, I've been able to serve as speaker on many other platforms, just because technology has given me, for me, the technology is not really just about the tools, but the ability to leverage those tools to solve problems in different industries. So that's how I look at it, because from when I started to where we are today, when I started, we never had so much buzz around things like AI. But today, AI is a thing. So it's rapidly changing over time. But what the technology has really helped me, has really, shaped me, has been the fact that I've leveraged some skills I built in healthcare. For example, skills like focus, skills like attention to details, skills like being able to work with a team. For example, the service I used to perform, I couldn't do them alone. I need to work with a team. So all of those skills are transferable now in technology. And now, understanding the technology, I'm able to work from anywhere in the world. I'm able to connect with global experts. For example, yourself today, we're able to connect on LinkedIn. I've been able to learn how to communicate, my value out there, to strategically position myself. Personal branding, for example, was not so much of a big thing to me, but now understand the technology, I had to understand how to also communicate and and market myself. And that's what learning this technology has been able to do for me. For me, it has been more of a mindset shift, and the quality of my network has drastically changed over the years.
That's
and I'm excited
incredible.
to always be in a networking mode to just connect with people and share value. And yeah, that's what it has greatly done for me today.
That's an incredible trajectory, not just on a personal basis for Solavis, Solange, and Otavis, but for the people that you've served, who probably are now licensed AWS practitioners.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right.
And also enabling you to widen the depth of your community of practice, not only as a medical doctor, but also as a technology expert. So talk to us about some of the lives that you've changed, some of the lives that you've touched in the course of service, because you were coming from a place of service, and through that, you get transformed. Now, it appears that you look for other opportunities to improve yourself, and then you move to North America. So talk about the people that you've touched, the people that have touched you, and how you're continuing to serve?
Great question. So I want to highlight a few. There are a lot of examples, but I want to highlight a few. Number one is a gentleman who observed what we're doing at Solar Vista and found interest, and then reached out to us on a Saturday workshop, because we have podcast sessions like this where we just get to bring people, share their experience, especially on the non-technical side of the IT space, so our community can build themselves up, towards learning opportunities. Also, we have technical workshops where we kind of build projects. So he joined one of our technical sessions and then reached out to me with a solution he had improved on what we're doing that day. And then I just set up a quick meeting, a quick 30-minute session with him, and I saw he could add much value to our community, and I made him an offer to join our team as a Chief Technology Officer. This gentleman is based in Nairobi, Kenya, in the person of Kevin Tui. In 2024, I made a recommendation letter for him. He traveled to Las Vegas for the WS reInvent, where he represented our company. But then I've not been to Las Vegas. I've not been to the US. That was
enough. But you're changing lives already.
Okay. And I'll tell you, we've been working together for a couple of years, and I've never met him in person. And I'll be meeting him in Kigali, Rwanda, for the All Africa Leadership Summit for the very first time. And guess what? I brought him on the team for Lead Missions. He serves today as the East Africa representative for Lead Mission, and he's equally serving as a global speaker. We're going to be sharing the stage in Kigali. So that's one of the impact, that just through Solar Vista, he's been able to provide a platform now where we're connecting talents to opportunities. The next example, which is very interesting to me, is when I got into medical school, there were people I used to look up to in the training. Dr. Gwanyamanuela is one of them. Dr. Gwanyamanuela. Dr. Nuela. Yeah, Gwanyamanuela.
Where's she based?
She's based in Cameroon. And so she was the first batch of my school. And today she's specializing in obstetrics and gynecology. So we started having a chit chat one day, and she told me she has this burden for maternal and child health. And she's been building a community, called Talk Pregnancy with Dr. Nuela, where they provide prenatal care, education and all of that. And so she has always thought of how can she scale her impact. They've been operating for so many years, just manually doing things. But I said we could build an app for you. We could digitalize the solution. And that's how I gave her a scholarship to join our data science and machine learning program, not so she can be a developer, but so she can understand how the technology works. And so as a founder of the company, even if she has a team that helps to build the technology, she should understand it, and she's part of the journey. So we don't just build for her, but we build with her along the journey. And so she got interested, learned the technology, and then that's how we took it up to build an app for her. And today, her company, we've built, it's called AppCare app. It's on Play Store. Today, her program is a national program, preconception care. It's the first national preconception program in Cameroon, and they are doing pilot study in the northwest region with all of that. And it's quite huge what we've been able to build. So this is
like about how many they're serving. About how many people, if you can estimate. You don't have to put it.
Right, she has a community on YouTube, because she's also running campaigns on YouTube and on different platforms. More than 10,000 people that they've been able to touch, with this preconception care advice that they push out there, and follow-ups and all of that.